Hey, this is Gardy with Clear Life Combat. I have the opportunity to hang out with Juan Adams for a bit. He has a fight coming up for Paradigm Combat Sports June 17th, and I'm excited to talk about it. Juan Adams, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. So, if somebody hasn't had the opportunity to follow your career, they haven't had the chance to meet you, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been fighting, and then I'm going to talk about Paradigm coming up.
All right. Juan Adams, as we've already stated, been fighting. I started training full time or not full time, but training for MMA specifically in 2016. I've been wrestling since I was 14 years old. Amateur debut was September of 2016. Pro debut was April of 2017, and my UFC debut was December of 2018. And since then, went 1-3 in the UFC. I released, went down to Fury, won the title, went with PFL, made it to their semifinals and lost. They elected not to re-sign me. And this will be my first fight since that loss. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, if I understand correctly, you're originally from Houston, and I believe you've trained at Paradigm before. What does it mean to you to be able to compete on this Paradigm card?
It means a lot for me. I've gotten to fight in my hometown or near my hometown a few times. Obviously, my last fight with the UFC was a UFC Houston, and it was John Jones's last fight at light heavyweight, I believe. Yeah, it was his last fight at light heavyweight. I was on that same card. But in order to, kind of go back to where I started, my career started with Paradigm. I wrestled for their national team at the time in the Disney duels, right before I went off to wrestle in college. I would train there a little bit over the summers, help their wrestling program out a little bit. And in order to kind of just come back, circle off, main event a card for them when they've launched their own promotion, they're helping me just because nobody really wants to fight me. And I get to help them by, putting some butts in seats and really bringing some eyes to their platform and their promotion. So it means the world that not only participate, to be able to have kind of a cooperative and mutually beneficial relationship between the two of us. And that's everything, man. And it kind of goes into, why I don't really burn bridges. I try to leave everywhere better than I found it and on good terms. And I'm very grateful that been able to preserve that relationship.
You mentioned it's sometimes hard for you to find fights. From your perspective, why is that?
You know, I would love to say that, it's because people are scared of me, but the reality is it's not really a good fight for most people. You beat me, and it's a guy that, on paper is washed out of two major promotions. You lose to me, it's like it's going to take you at least three fights to even get in a conversation to be ready for a main promotion again. So I get it. It's not really the best career move for a lot of people, and fighting as a sport has kind of changed, man. You used to come in, you used to do this stuff to push yourself to be the best, but now it's all about protecting records and doing everything. And it's kind of what the problem with boxing was for a really long time. And for me, you know, after my run with the UFC, it no longer became about the money or the fame or anything. Like, I fight from a perspective now that I want to push myself to be the best version of myself whenever I can. There's always going to be adversity, not just in the fights, but in life, and it's how you respond to it. And so I go in there with the highest expectation of myself every time, and whatever that result is, I deal with when it comes. But uh, most fighters aren't wired like that anymore, and it took a lot of failure and grace and forgiveness of myself, as well as acknowledging and being aware of why I failed in those moments to get to the point I'm at now. But I've never said no to a fight, man. I just love to fight. It's something that I do. It's one of those things where I've got this body, I've got an athletic prime that I'm only going to be in for so long. Like I'm only going to be able to do this for so long. So I'm going to get the most that I absolutely can out of it.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to touch on. One of the first things is, being from Houston, Paradigm popping up, there's Elevate, in the amateur, and then there's Fury, specifically regional over here. What do you think about that? Is that good for combat sports and just more opportunities, or what are your thoughts?
I think it's amazing for combat sports, and more opportunities, especially now that it's so easy to stream and put the content out there because that's the other part of fighting. You can win a lot, but if people don't see it, they don't know how you're winning. They don't know if you're having quality fights. They don't know what it's like to see you fight in person. And now that there's more, just another promotion there to allow people the opportunity to showcase their abilities. I think it's great. It gets more eyes. You can get more local guys in the spotlight. And again, it's another mutually beneficial relationship because you get to test yourself more as an athlete. You have more opportunities, more availability to test yourself more, as well as, it gives people, they got to bring people in somehow. So as long as they're bringing in opponents and putting on quality cards, I think it's a great opportunity for people. And the best ability is availability. So now that there's more fights available, it gives more people opportunity. And, you never know when you're going to get that.
Yeah. What do you know about your opponent? Do you ever, go watching the film or let your coaches do that? Does it matter to you?
I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I've never really cared too much about the opponent. Every time I have, I've lost. So, um, for me, what I know about him, we were both alternates on my first fight with the PFL, and I just know he talks a lot. Not like in a bad way. He's just a talkative dude. I'm not. So it was kind of weird. Just being there in the sauna trying to cut weight. This dude wouldn't shut up. I was like, bro, like, just stop talking. But I knew enough about him. I knew that he was game. And when they asked me, like, is there anyone that I had in mind that they thought would accept the fight? I was like, well, Shelton, he doesn't seem like a dude that runs from opportunity. He doesn't seem like a dude that's afraid. So, yeah, I'd reach out to him, and that was all it was. I know that he fights southpaw sometimes. I know he's shorter than me. I know he's bald, and I know I'm better than him. So that's pretty much that's all I need.
Yeah, you're a big guy. I've seen and trained with people that I thought were big. 6'4", walk around 260, and then I see them in a training room with you, and they're not that big anymore. How big are you?
Uh, you know, Last time I got measured, it said 6'5". I'm really good friends with Dontel Mays, and he's 6'5", and I think I'm a little taller than him. I used to walk around 310. I would get up to 310, 315 between fights. I've spent the last, one of my goals was always to get my walk around weight closer to 280 to 285. So I've spent the last year and a half really just committing to that. And obviously, 8 months without a fight, I don't have to do that yo-yo thing. So I could just constantly chip away. And now I'm walking around, I never get above 290. So I'm enjoying that. Allows me to eat a little bit longer into my camp. Less dietary restrictions. We're in the last 2 weeks now, so those are obviously back, but I feel amazing. But yeah, I'm a pretty large dude. A lot of people tell me that. It's actually funny though. Recently, more people have been saying like, you look so much bigger online. Like you're still big in person, but you don't look as big as you used to be. People tell me I'm looking smaller. Kind of hurt my feelings.
Before we started this interview, we talked a little bit. So outside of fighting, you have a career as well. What do you do? And I guess what do your colleagues and the people that you impart into? What do they think about all this?
Man, So I'm a teacher, right? Actually, after my run with the UFC, I got into behavioral health, which was really more my passion, but there weren't as many opportunities for that. So I switched over to teaching, and I still get to use therapeutic aspects from that other field, but teaching is I mean I love doing it. My thing is, as a kid, I never really felt I got to step into my own authenticity and be my true self and really be heard. That's the environment I provide to these kids. So it's really great to form those bonds and be able to be a positive male influence in their life. In terms of so the kids love that I fight. I mean, that's what they always try to ask me about. I'm like, no, we got a lesson plan. We got to follow this thing. So if you guys finish your work, we can talk about that. But my colleagues, it's weird. There's a lot of them think it's really cool, man. And a lot of them are also just kind of shocked at the lifestyle and the discipline that I have. I live in a studio apartment at Jackson Wink. I don't have roommates or anything. I made sure I got my own space there, but it's small. But it's one of those things where, you'll wake up sometimes and you're tired. And if you don't live at the gym, it's easy to skip that workout. Not when you live there. I was doing strength and conditioning. I would get up and go do a workout at 6 a.m., go straight from that gym to work, straight from work to home. I have more workouts there. Then I got to do my lesson plans, do everything I need to do, and kind of pass out. So a lot of them really admire that discipline and that level of commitment. You run into a few that it's kind of like, some are like awestruck, some of them get a little bit jealous, and that's a really weird dynamic to have because I don't hold jealousy towards anyone, but some of them are just like, my social media presence does bother a few of them, but that's not really on me. That's a them issue. Uh, I don't post anything like wildly inappropriate, and my thing is like, if you're worried about the kids, like if a kid is on my social media, their parents, I mean, it should be with their parents' permission anyway. So there's that issue. But yeah, so it's a really mixed bag. Most of them, it increases the level of respect, and then it's also the aspect of like, if you mess with me on the wrong day, I might murk you. So so that's good. That's always a good trump card. I'm like, you didn't watch the way you're talking to me. We can take this outside.
Yeah, I follow you on social media. You do post a lot about like mental health. You speak your mind. You share, I think, from places that traditionally, somebody as big or as masculine, a fighter, would share some of those things. I mean, is that obviously that's on purpose? Why is that important?
For me, a really core value of mine is honesty and authenticity, and especially in today's world. I know when I was a kid, looking up to these people, it was very hard to relate to them. It was easy to relate in the sense like I want to be there someday, but I didn't really have any idea what it was really going to be like. And so many times, especially in today's day, in this day and age, people get stuck in this mindset of comparison, right? And for me, the best way to deal with comparison is compassion, and it's easy to form and build those bonds and give somebody something to relate to when they can know that it's a shared experience. And ultimately, a lot of my experiences root down or boil down to my battles with mental health personally, and it's something that men in general typically don't talk about, and people in general don't want to share that because I mean it can go to dark places. You're in a dark place, and it's hard to see the light if you don't know anyone that's been through it, or nobody cares enough to help you through it. So I share all the time. If I'm going through something, I'll share it. I'll share how I deal with it, how I process it, because the social emotional aspect of life is something that I feel we're severely lacking in. And I truly want to facilitate a change in that. You can, you have to embody that what you're trying to become. And you're never going to attract something in your life if you're not vibrating at that level. And so for me, in order to be authentic, and if I want people to be authentic with me, I have to be authentic with them. And with a lot of men, masculinity, I feel, is somewhat subjective. There are some core tenets of it, or core pillars of it that everyone can relate to. But for me, to be masculine is to be completely comfortable in being yourself and not worrying about how other people see you, how other people feel about you. And those that are meant to be in your life, or those that are a vibrational match for that, they're going to gravitate towards that. But you can't be your authentic self if you're not honest about your wounds. And for me, I have mother wounds, I have father wounds, I have all this stuff from the life that I've lived, and I got through it. I never gave up, and I don't want anyone else to give up. I don't want anyone else to, eliminate their own existence because they felt that they were alone in this world. So for me, that's more so what it's about. It's being a guide and, using my platform, using my influence to be a positive influence for other people. And if somebody thinks that that's not masculine, like, I don't care. I'm so secure in my own masculinity and who I am and the life that I've cultivated that, if you don't like my brand of masculinity, you don't like who I am as a person, then I'm not here for you. Like, I can still, I can still love you and not interact. And that's what it all boils down to, man. I have an overwhelming love for humanity and mankind in this world. And I think that if more people would embrace that and more people would be honest with themselves and truly use it as something to grow from as opposed to something to protect themselves from and hide from, uh, the world would be a lot better place.
Is that your main goal, or one of your main goals outside of combat sports, is to kind of help, spread that awareness and make a difference?
Yeah, and as I was doing a lot of, they call it shadow work or, self help healing and all that, um, it made me get really honest with myself. And I've always wanted to impact the world. And that's kind of what I had to redefine my version of success for. So for me, success doesn't lie in necessarily results all the time. Obviously, we live in a results driven society, but for me, it's about impact. And I'm going to be able to impact people in a positive way because it causes a ripple effect, man. And as we grow and as we heal and help other people and let them see that, man, this isn't always linear. There's going to be days where you revert. There's going to be days where your triggers get a reaction out of you that you're not happy with, that don't align with who you are. But you can always recover from it. You can always, react to anything. Things happen and all you can control is your next reaction. And so as long as your next reaction isn't an attempt for a positive good or a positive outcome, a net good in the end, you're gonna be okay, and it's gonna help other people be okay. And that's what I hold dear, and that's something very personal, very critical to who I am as a person.
What about with combat sports? What is your, do you see combat sports the same way, or what kind of long term, or you take it, hey, a step at a time, a fight at a time, or what does that look like going forward?
Yeah, so with combat sports, man, uh, it's a little bit more nuanced and complex in that one, like I do it to push myself in a way. I also recognize that it's giving me a platform and it's giving me a little bit louder of a voice on certain things. But also, when you first start, it's really easy to have these grandiose ideas about where your career is going to go and what's going to happen. And for me, man, I was super fast tracked. I'm in the UFC, youngest American heavyweight. Like, I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna keep building. I started to lose sight of each fight. I wasn't thinking about each fight in the moment. I was just thinking of them as a stepping stone to get to the next step. And that's a form of destination happiness, man. Or the flip side of destination happiness was called destination anxiety. And it got to a point where I couldn't even appreciate each moment where it was because I was so worried about what's coming next. And as I've reframed that and focused on just the fight, just the task at hand, and pushing myself to perform as best I can with the best result in that moment, uh, I feel a lot better about it. So, and that's the first step, feel good, fight good. And that's kind of where I'm trying to go with it and just teach people that, I can have a bad performance, still bounce back. I don't think about retiring if I lose a fight now. So that's that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, that's actually that's really good. I've never really thought of it that way. Well, I know with combat sports, people say like enjoy the journey. Everybody's journey is different, and it is like just life in general, your career. Like you see that once I get there, I'm happy. Once I get there, I'm happy, and then you get there and it doesn't go the way you thought it would. I'm not happy or whatever. Man, I like that. That's good. It's very good. Yeah. So how do you see the fight going June 17th? You have any predictions or what do you think?
I think I'm just better everywhere than this guy. Way I see it as just me overwhelming him. That's gonna kind of be the goal here. I don't think he's gonna be able to keep up with me. It's definitely not going 3 rounds. I feel like I'm that much better, and ultimately, like it's no disrespect to him. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. He's just not me. And what people need to understand about this is there's levels to everything. Yes, anyone can win a fight on any given day. One punch can change everything, especially at heavyweight. One strike can change anything at heavyweight. But the reality is there's levels to this, and he's simply not on mine. And that's okay. I don't mean he should retire or quit, whatever, but I respect the man for signing the contract, stepping in the cage with me. That's more than can be said for my last opponent. He punked out the night away in. So, and now I respect any man willing to step in there, but now it's at a point where I have to give everybody the best that I can give in that moment. And I feel that even me not at 100% is more than enough to overwhelm and overpower this guy. So I think the first round will come out, kind of trying to size me up. I'm going to come out guns blazing, just trying to overwhelm everywhere, overwhelm with combos. Uh, if he tries to take me down, it's not going to go his way. If I try to take him down, it's going to go my way. On the feet, I have a reach advantage. I have a strength advantage. I have an athleticism advantage. So everywhere in here, it goes my way. We're going to find out how tough he is. We're going to find out, what it takes for him to quit. And if he doesn't quit, more power to him. But I don't see him winning this fight at all.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about the fight? Anything about just life in general or anything at all?
You know, what I would say about life in general is for everyone to understand, man. Success, healing, whatever your goal is, recognize now that it's not a linear journey. Very few things in life are actually linear. But as long as your intention and your goal is to be better, you're gonna get there. You just gotta stick to that intention and live life with intention.
Thank you so much for your time. June 17th, you can tune in. Paradigm Combat Sports. It's going to be live in Houston, Texas. You can also watch on clearlifemedia.com. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem, man. Thank you.